Hello and welcome back to Classically Weird. My name is Headmaster Howard.
And I am Ragana Ray.
And today we're exploring the world of 13 Ghosts. First, you may notice we're on a bit of a different set. We have
So much has changed since our first series of videos.
We took a little bit of a hiatus for a couple months to get established into this new space and to be ready to record. So we have really put in a lot of effort into setting up this new space. I hope you guys enjoy.
I'm laughing too because there was initially comments that we had received from other people when we were doing our first set about that there just wasn't much to look at on our set. And now we have been manifesting, we have been planning and bringing this together, and I am just, honestly, my love, I'm sitting in awe of this. From what we walked into when we found this space into what we have created. And like, that is just, that's your side and this is my side. So me sitting here, just getting to look at the things that you hand selected for your wall and the things that we selected for our coffin case is just absolutely amazing, and I'm in awe of everything that you have put together, that we have put together here. So yeah, thanks for being patient with us while we work this out, and we are excited to get into talking about 13 Ghosts because that has also been requested by people in the comments and also verbally. So I am very excited to start that as our 2026.
And honestly, it's a perfect movie to break ground with this new set. Mm-hmm. It really is. It is a cult classic horror film that really goes unsung a lot. You forget about it, and then when somebody brings it up, you're like, oh yeah, that was great. Mm-hmm.
It also has my favorite number in it, 13. So why would I not want to start with?
Now, 13 Ghosts was released in 2001. It's a supernatural horror film directed by Steve Beck and produced by Dark Castle Entertainment. The studio basically said, what if we mix the occult with architecture and machinery? And it was a phenomenal concept. The film stars Tony Shalhoub, Matthew Lillard, and Shannon Elizabeth. It serves as a modern reimagining of the 1960 William Castle classic. This is a remake.
This is a remake.
Yeah.
I forget that this is a remake. And I think I have watched it, but we should just for fun.
We'll do that down the road, like revisit the classic of this, the original, mm-hmm. and
then maybe
do a comparison.
Just do a little short about it. So, do a short video. Maybe we'll dive into a short.
Perhaps. It is known for its hyper-stylized and elaborate ghost designs, and a house that absolutely does not believe in personal space.
No.
Do you remember loving this movie immediately, or did it grow on you over time?
I remember loving this movie immediately and being on board with it, and then after some really recent reviews and then us sitting down and watching it as for this review, kind of had some difference of opinions on what I felt about characters and acting and stuff.
Okay, we'll start diving into that into the spoiler section.
Absolutely.
So, okay, nice little seed planted. Okay.
Always planting seeds for the future.
Right. So this was produced by Joel Silver and Robert Zemeckis, the same spooky factory behind House on Haunted Hill and Ghost Ship.
As what? House on Haunted Hill and Ghost Ship. Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yes. But that was for the Dark Castle?
Yep. Dark Castle Productions.
Yep. Perfect. I also, because you had brought up Dark Castle in some of our discussion, we try not to discuss too much of the movie before we do this, but we live together and sometimes it's just hard. So you brought up Dark Castle, and then it pinged me and I went and looked up. So I just wanted to give a nod to, they also did Gothica, which is another phenomenal movie. Orphan, that one disturbed me.
Really?
Orphan, yes.
That's Dark Castle?
Yeah, it was Dark Castle. And because we recently had a beautiful conversation around Sylvester Stallone's story through Tony Robbins, when you shared that with me, Sylvester Stallone's storyline, how he got to Rocky. There's a movie, Dark Castle, Bullet to the Head, action thriller with Sylvester Stallone.
No way.
Yeah, I didn't know. So those are my little notes I had for you that I wanted to share about Dark Castle.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay. I remember being a fan of House on Haunted Hill and Ghost Ship.
Yes.
And I remember those as the Dark Castle Entertainment movies. I didn't know Orphan was in there.
I did not either, but when we talked about it, and I thought that there was something else, and I went and did a little, and I remembered Gothica. I was like, oh, I have to note that one.
Ooh, Gothica.
Yes, Gothica is so good. And Orphan, that whole series, that one messed with me. I think it's a great franchise, so I wanted to note that. And then just because of our Sylvester Stallone, which, by the way, I recently learned about Sylvester Stallone. If you have not watched his story, maybe you can just throw that Tony Robbins chat thing in the comments, because that's just an awesome thing. And now we have to watch Bullet to the Head just because, you shared that with me. And it's an action thriller, so maybe we'll do a short on that.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some shorts on those.
Because we got a list of movies for this year.
We do. Yeah, so keep an eye out. We're planning on trying to release a video every week. We're getting there. So we have that consistency. There's going to be more coming up. Our next one is going to be The Babadook.
The Babadook.
So you have time to go watch it before that one comes out. All right. Now, is this a movie we would recommend to people? Yes, no.
Yes.
Yes. Hands down, agreed. If you have not seen 13 Ghosts, first of all, what are you doing with your life? Second of all, go watch it now. Go pause this video. You're a couple minutes in already. And you got a little bit of hype going on. Matthew Lillard's in it, Tony Shalhoub, so on and so forth. Tony Shalhoub, a lot of people don't recognize the name. He was Monk, just to put a face to the name. Now, go watch it. Come back, join us for the spoiler section. Or if you don't care about spoilers, I mean, honestly, this movie's 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. Yeah, if you don't care about the spoilers, come join us.
Yep, there's always the 50-50, the ones that don't want to hear the spoilers, and the ones like me that I can hear a spoiler and still go back and enjoy a movie. Okay, so tell me, Headmaster Howard, if you had to sell this movie to someone who's never seen it, what would you say?
I would probably start down the path of, do you enjoy Matthew Lillard movies? Do you like him in the horror realm? So, especially nowadays, because we have him as William Afton, we have him in the Scream franchise, he was Shaggy in Scooby-Doo, right? So if you enjoy that kind of chaos energy that Matthew Lillard brings to these roles, and you like something that is a fairly interesting occult premise that explores and touches on different types of ghosts, different ghost stories, very briefly, but has them swarming him and a family, this would probably be a good movie for you.
Interesting. Just to go back on top of that, I actually had written down a question to ask you. You talk a lot about Matthew Lillard. You give him great praise. You even recently said he's a king of horror standing for you. I've learned more about him because of you. What are your top 3 favorite Matthew Lillard movies?
Wow. Okay. SLC Punk.
Okay.
Which I would probably put that in 3rd.
Okay.
He's great in that role.
Okay.
He really is. Have you ever seen SLC Punk? Oh my god. Okay. So SLC Punk.
Okay.
Right. 13 Ghosts,
Okay.
I would say. It is, I would say, number 2. Okay. Flame me if you want. Scream.
Okay.
Scream is one of my all-time favorite horror movies, and I think Matthew did amazing
in this role. I think he did too. I do enjoy him in this role. I know him from Scooby-Doo, and which we do watch with the kids. So they enjoy it. And the 13 Ghosts. And for me, I do know him through Scream as well. But then also just the praise that you have talked about him and what he is also like at the is the proper word, cons, the conventions that he's at.
He's such a warm person. He pays a lot of attention and a lot of focus and energy into making sure that the fans feel welcome and comfortable with him.
That's awesome.
It's so good. It's so good. He's a humble celebrity.
I always love hearing about a humble celebrity.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised with all this hype that some of the reviews that I listened to about this absolutely hate this movie?
No, actually, I would not, because I'm familiar with those reviews as well.
Okay.
This movie, when it first came out, was critically slammed.
Was it?
It was everything from terrible acting.
Okay, see, I picked up on that.
Campy plot. It was overwhelming with the set of the house. I've seen that.
Okay, yes, so. That there was no like warmth to a house and I immediately thought the house isn't meant to be warm. There was some touches of warmth in the bedroom scene, which we'll get into. There's one of the ghosts that has that, but there wasn't any warmth to it. I'm like, because it was a machine. It wasn't meant to be, and it was built on magic and spell work. So,
right.
Like, how did you want this house to appear? It would appear as a machine.
It was a machine designed by the devil and powered by the dead.
That's right.
So, of course, it's going to be a little cold. I think that this movie does very, very well with portraying that space appropriately.
I would agree with that.
Do you think that this movie would lose anything if it was set in a more traditional haunted house instead of that more modernized glass everywhere?
Interesting, because I did bring up earlier about that the house lacked warmth and that there was some criticism on the key as well. I remember finding that just infatuating. This was the first time that we had seen somebody go into the occult, find a very, very dark magic, and then build a house around said intentions for that house. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant, because I hadn't seen anything like that before, and I like intricate and weird things. There's scenes in the movie where Arthur, Tony Shalhoub's character, when they first get into the house and they're looking at his oddity collection. I call it an oddity collection, but antiques, but also oddity as in just a variety of interests. And he reprimands his son, Bobby, don't even think about picking up like this samurai sword. So just the history of antiques in that house alone, never mind all the, well, not never mind, because the ritualistic of all the writing in the glass was beautiful to look at as well when it would light up. And it was all written in Latin, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it was beautiful to look at. So aesthetically, I enjoy looking at all the other aspects of the house, and the famous scene with Shannon Elizabeth in the bathroom.
The bathroom scene.
The bathroom scene, I think, is just infamous with this movie.
I would agree.
I think it would have lost its appeal had it been more of a put together, Victorian house or a colonial or something like that. And because of the glass, I like that it was way out in the middle of nowhere.
Now, you did mention about looking at the reviews of this movie. Mm-hmm. Do you think that this movie would be better reviewed today if it came out versus when it did?
Even people that are reviewing it today are almost reviewing it a little too harshly, based on the fact that this movie is 25 years old. Could they potentially do another 13 Ghosts and dive into some more of what people have discussed over the 25 years that this movie has been out? Would be an interesting concept.
Funnily enough, there are discussions happening right now around turning 13 Ghosts into a series.
Okay.
Following the ghosts.
I like that, because I have a note here that people have said that they hated that all these ghosts have a backstory, and some of them have
it's never shown.
And it's never shown. It's very detailed backstories. And while in this, we are not going to discuss all 13 ghosts, but all 13 ghosts do have their own individual story, and they touch on it. But through the years, now that things like Reddit and social media posts, people have been sharing about who the ghosts are. And there was one reviewer that, gosh, I wish I could remember names. I've been listening to things, but we can go back through my files if you want. Anyways, that had said that the ghost, that it's called 13 Ghosts, but the ghosts didn't get enough movie time.
So each ghost was given a thorough backstory written by effects artist Tom Woodruff Jr. Okay. My note here, these ghosts have better backstories than most Netflix villains. So on the topic... Why would you say that? What is wrong with Netflix villains? I'm laughing because, like, what are you referring to? Well, okay, so most of the shows and series and stuff like that are being put out nowadays, with some exceptions, there are some phenomenal things that are being put out right now, but a lot of them, they're surface level.
Are they?
They don't have a lot of backstory. You don't get really a depth, right? They're very like, here's who they are. All right, have fun.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With these ghosts, you can tell that there was a lot of thought, planning, precision, just work put into making them
who they are.
Unique.
Yes. And the depths of those characters changed how I felt about them.
Oh, yes.
And the scenario that they are put into with being hunted and captured by Sirius, the uncle that... Cyrus. And I was trying to think of his last name, and I will brutalize that. Kritikos. Yeah, that definitely changed my opinion on their scenario.
Do you think that the ghosts are meant to be villains or victims?
Because of their backstories, I think that they're victims of the scenarios that put them where they are and what they became in the afterlife, or what they were in life and then what they became in the afterlife.
I would agree. Because even in the movie, Matthew Lillard explains that these ghosts are created through acts of severe trauma and violence. Many of them, and I have the list of the backstories.
Do you?
I have the backstories.
Oh.
But many of them, yeah, they might have been flawed people in life, but many of them had their communities turn on them, traumatic events, etc., that caused them to become who they are. So I think between not only who they were in life and who they are in afterlife, but with Cyrus trying to take advantage of them and use them for his purposes on top of the afterlife that they're experiencing.
He was using every single person.
Oh, every person in his orbit.
Every single person.
Dead or alive.
Exactly. I mean, he was the epitome of a true villain seeking ultimate power. And it did not matter who you are, what you were to him, romantically, sexually, because it's friendship. And everybody laughed at him, who thought that they were friends, because there's a point where Kalina says, and Dennis are arguing, and he says, Cyrus was my friend, and she laughed at him. But at the same time, she thought that Cyrus was on her side as well, and that didn't go as planned either.
Yeah, Cyrus was definitely the big bad of this movie. Oh, yes. He was the one, the puppet master, pulling all the strings, making all of it happen. And really, I think, had these ghosts still been in their own spaces, their own
And just
places,
left alone.
and left alone,
They
they would still be causing damage to people in the world, but they wouldn't be as tormented being used like that.
Except for, was it the Juggernaut? The Juggernaut.
So the Juggernaut's the one that we see in the opening.
Mm-hmm. But Dennis says...
He's vicious.
He's vicious, but Dennis said to Cyrus that when he touches him, and I actually have a note about his ability and that I wanted to chat over with you, but when he touches him, he says to Cyrus, you son of a bitch, he's killed more, in his afterlife. So there's still that chance that even if they were left to their own demise, if you go out seeking them, you may end up meeting your own demise.
Yeah, he says, you said it was only 9 victims, 9 while he was alive.
That's what yes.
And
I love
if
a little
you
eidetic memory.
If you do the calculations on it, it ends up being like 40 something victims between when he was alive and after he had died.
Mm-hmm.
And Dennis even says, he's like, this one's not like the others.
Yes. So again, in your theory with that, would they have...
Well, they wouldn't have been peaceful by any means.
Peaceful, because that was a question that I had for you. Because spoiler, that all the ghosts in the end get freed and go out into the world. What do you feel about that? Because now that you've said if they had just been left to their own spaces.
Well, who knows if they're going to be able to actually get back to their original places. Who knows?
Theory behind, because we are both interested in the paranormal realm of life and existence.
I mean, how far can an energetic entity like that travel?
And does it just like set up shop there, or as some paranormal investigators help them cross over? Did that freeing cross them over to some new realm?
That's a thought.
It's a good thought.
Hey, Lee from Film Theory, get on that. We're kidding. We love you guys over at Film Theory. You guys are great.
Fanning.
Just a little bit.
I do have a note on Cyrus that I wrote. He's a great villain, and he reminded me a lot of the uncle in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
Oh, I could see that.
The old car, clothing, and an understanding of dark magic. While capturing the ghosts was bad, but he had this understanding, and he was his postureness and regalness and his, what is it? Fuck you money.
For me, he gave me vibes of Stephen Price from House on Haunted Hill.
Oh, good. That's okay. And funny, House on Haunted Hill and their Dark Castle productions. Okay, which there was also crossover. You can see just kind of in that same flashy. Some people didn't like the flashing of the ghosts constantly. Like even if you had the glasses on, you didn't really get to see them. And there was some of that same kind of effect in Ghost Ship as well in some of the scenes.
Yep.
So yes, so definitely like those.
It's a common their production company. Yeah. It's common editing type and because it sets a pace, it sets a tone.
And I like that with 13 Ghosts. I like the build up and the anticipation of not knowing when they're going to appear in the movie. Like even sometimes there was points when we were researching, because we've been going back and watching the movie again and capturing some notes and new thoughts on this movie 25 years later, and there were scenes that still, if you walk by just at the right time, make me jump.
So we are talking a lot about the ghosts. Which of these ghosts is your favorite?
For the longest time, because I think it stuck out most in my mind, and through researching stuck out a lot in other people's mind, was the Jackal. And honestly, I thought the Jackal was a female for a long time.
Nope.
And Jackal is not female. And I appreciate their story. However, after getting background story and watching the movie again, do they call her the pioneer, the witch, the woman that was
the Pilgrimess.
The Pilgrimess. Thank you, the Pilgrimess. I really paid attention this time going through the ghosts and her scare points, her aesthetic, the makeup, her imagery. I connected and liked her as putting into a favorites category.
Let's touch on the Pilgrimess real quick. She was a deeply repressed woman accused of witchcraft and executed. She represents religious extremism and punishment disguised as righteousness. Locked in the stocks. She's locked in that,
Yep. And I make no bones about being a witch. So she definitely hit on that backstory for me that I can understand, and then being an angry ghost afterwards.
I can understand that too.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I brought up the Jackal. I would love for you to read the Jackal as well.
So the Jackal was a man driven insane in an asylum, restrained and abused until he snapped. His madness is a direct result of cruelty.
I also heard somewhere or read somewhere that potentially that he checked himself into the insane asylum, knowing that he was crazy. Mm-hmm. And I found that interesting as well. And that there was a fire and he chose not to leave.
Yes.
That whole mental state, and it was that he was chewing on things, so they put him in a straitjacket.
And then he kept chewing
on things, and then they put the cage over his head. And when a fire broke out, he just chose to perish.
Embrace it.
And then gets captured by this all-powerful, I want to control everything villain. Like, just let the one rest. So tell me now, who would you say is your favorite?
I would say the Hammer.
Okay, interesting. I was skimming through my brain. I was wondering, but I think you were skimming through your brain too. See, sometimes we have one brain. So the Hammer. Why the Hammer?
He was a blacksmith who murdered his family before being killed himself. Pure, unfiltered violence, strength without mercy. He's just an unrelenting force, and you can see that strength when he goes and he hits the glass, or it's just that oomph. You can tell the strength behind it.
I thought,
and the visuals of the nails being
pulled out.
Oh my gosh!
So I thought I had heard or read somewhere that part of his backstory was that he didn't kill his family, but that he was a blacksmith in a town and he was accused of something, and he was like, no, it wasn't me. His family was killed and he was strung up, and the town turned against him, and they put all the nails into him and cut off his hand and made it into the hammer.
Maybe we're looking at different sources.
Yeah. So, but I mean, too, kind of interesting. That's why I just bring it up, is I'll have to look.
Well, I'll have to go back and look at the sources.
Go back and look at the source, because that was something recently. So, but that would be interesting. So I want to know.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the nanny Maggie? Do you think that she was hired before or after the fire?
She was hired after the fire. She was hired because Arthur was drowning in household responsibilities, emotional loss, etc. She was hired after. I've got a fun fact about her.
Okay.
Ra Digga is her name.
Mm-hmm.
This was her first appearance as an actress.
Mm-hmm.
She was a musician. And you know that rap song that plays as the credits are rolling?
Mm-hmm.
That's her.
Nice. Good for her. And she is the last speaking character of that movie.
She is. I think she did great. She provides a very good role of comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of that everyday person, just along for the ride going, oh, what am I? Why are we here? And adding that flavor commentary that sets a good, funny tone to what would otherwise be a chaotic, depressing, scary movie. She had that comedy element.
She had some
Yeah.
She had some comedy elements to it.
She's
And
great.
comedy elements, there's a famous line in the movie. I say famous, but I've seen it used a few times. So the lawyer that is a complete jackass and just creepy in his own with the stark blue eyes and his posture and his
And
arrogance.
those like pearly white teeth.
Pearly white,
Like
and
obnoxiously.
the lawyer, the scummy that you just and you obviously always deals with rich, shady people. So he gets split in half. Her character Maggie says, "Did the lawyer split?"
It is quite funny. That is one of the best lines in the movie. It is.
I did make a note that the Scooter is an unpaid actor in this.
Trips Tony Shalhoub in the apartment.
If you think
And he rides it throughout the house.
exactly the thing that they argued about, gets packed up into the car to go to this new house, and is the thing that he gets taken away from. So I made the note that nod to the Scooter that was an unpaid actor. So thoughts on Dennis's psychic gift? Was it a gift or a curse?
Every gift is a curse.
Solid. Because there's reviews that argued that Lillard he should have known more, because if you're psychic, you should know that. But he also calls out in the movie and says, it doesn't work like that, when everybody's gift curse works differently. You can go to various psychic mediums and everybody's ability is going to work differently, so you're going to get different information from different people. So his supernatural ability, you would say, how do you think he portrayed that through the movie? Do you think he portrayed that well?
I think that he portrayed it interestingly.
Okay.
It grabs your interest, it pulls you in, and it does make you concerned for him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh God, it looks painful.
It does.
But also, I can see the benefit of it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, every blessing is a curse. So while you can have some benefit from it, it also can hurt.
There was also kind of some almost funny, but not funny. There's a point where Dennis is trying to take the medication. He just needs to take the edge off because he's got some sort of pharmaceutical that helps block him from seeing and hearing the ghosts. And it gets knocked right out of his hands. Cyrus knocks it out of his hands. And he says, "I need you clear-headed." And it's like, when you got all that craziness going on in your head, that's not being clear-headed. So it was kind of like funny, but it was a slam down to it, because you're not clear-headed in that. He needs the pills to get stabilized to be able to deal with the situation at hand. I did make a note about the opening scene, that how it drags us in, it pulls us in right away, and then gives us immediate heartbreak and sentimental sadness. And then in the end, we get sentimental sadness and then comedy. So it was kind of a nice little flow in and out. There was a point that it was said that the glass, you could not hear through it. It was impenetrable.
Soundproof.
And soundproof. But Dennis and Arthur do. And you actually talked about that.
It was Dennis and Maggie.
Okay. Apologies.
The wall starts closing and Maggie stops. She stutter steps and traps Matthew Lillard. And they're shouting back and forth through the glass. She's telling him what to do. They specifically called out that the glass was soundproof.
Was it sealed when he pushed it? Yeah, it was sealed. Okay. And there was also, I thought, wasn't there a moment where Arthur and Dennis...
Well, yes, but with that, they were
holding the piece. Okay,
yeah,
so that one...
Okay. Yeah, that one doesn't count. So here's a fun one for you. The glasses. Do you know why they did the glasses?
I forgot earlier that, yes, there was an original 13 Ghosts, but if I remember this, the original movie, when it was released, there was glasses that you put on, was it at the theater? so that you could see the ghosts in the movie, but if you were watching the movie, you couldn't. That's right, because I think I tried to do this. Was that what it was? That what it was?
That's what it was.
Yay! Yes.
That's what it was.
So it's a nod into
the classic
film,
the original.
That's right.
Yeah. So back when movies were 3D through the use of those red and blue lenses, the ghosts were put specifically into the red color pane. So by putting on the glasses, you were able to see the ghosts, but without them, you weren't able to see them.
That was such a unique touch in both movies. Just
it really was.
Giving you eyes to see the ghosts. That's just an interesting touch. Helena, the villain, one of the other villains in it, that I would say she ended up being a villain, was played by, and I do not want to brutalize this, but it also sounds like a really cool name, Embeth Davidtz, Davidtz. She was also Miss Honey in Matilda.
Yes.
It was like watching the two different. Can we have kids? And I like Matilda. That was a good movie. So that one, it was an interesting little catch for me. And she was also in Schindler's List. I have not watched Schindler's List.
I do remember her from Schindler's List, actually. That's a movie that I have watched multiple times. Yeah, I am a fan of that era.
There was a scene that I do like at the end of this movie. There is the struggling widow sacrifice of a dad for his kids, willing to leap into the eye. So the eye is the end scene where all the ghosts have met up, and we've met all of the ghosts, and they have to create this vortex opening of energy for Cyrus to become the Oculus to become all powerful. I don't know that many dads get praise in movies, and we did talk about that when we A Quiet Place, and we talked about it there, and I saw it again in this movie. I've lost my wife, and I've been struggling through this, but I'm willing to do anything to save my kids. And I really just felt that emotional touch, and just this kind of simple dad. But I don't think dads get a lot of recognition, and I like to recognize that. We discussed that in A Quiet Place, the dad sacrifice, and here again, Arthur willing to jump into the eye to save his kids.
All right. Now, you touched on Arthur being a widower and somebody who should be celebrated for that. This movie has a underlying theme to it that many people never tune into. This movie is really about grief. It's really about grief. We have Bobby, who is processing his grief through diving into dead people's stories.
Reading the obituaries, people
right,
that have been decapitated.
Right. He's the obsession on how to deal with it. We have Kathy, Shannon Elizabeth's character.
The sister.
Who, she is the more dismissive, wants everything to be perfect, pretend that everything is perfectly fine. And then we have Arthur, whose processing of that grief is anxiety and chaos and just trying, and anger, and trying to make sure everything goes smoothly. And really what we're seeing is, even though it was 6 months later, because they do call that out, it was 6 months later, that the family hasn't really moved on. And a traumatic loss like that, it's gonna take time.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not saying they should have moved on by this point, but what I'm saying is we're still seeing them in that process of how they do it. So Arthur is trying to tackle this situation with all that anxiety. Oh my God, I just lost my wife, and now my kids are in danger. And now this, that.
And I chased after this, wanting to give them the best life and thinking it was a good opportunity.
Exactly.
And I've just put them in more danger.
Exactly. Which is why Arthur has the responses through the movie that he does. And I think that they did a great job of that subtext to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, a lot of people don't usually tune into that. Most people are like, oh, it's a movie about ghosts. Oh, But actually paying attention to the characters and their development, their progression, you see it. So my question for you, do you think that this is a ghost movie? Or do you think that this is a movie about grief?
Now that you've said that and thinking about it, because immediately my brain went into seeing all the 13 ghosts spinning around the eye at the end of the movie. And every single one of their stories has some sort of grief and loss. And it's almost like different levels of grief. And so, yeah, it's a horror, a tragedy, a grief tragedies all the way across, told through horror and dark magic and what happens.
And the occult.
Yeah. Which also makes the occult look really bad, but, you know.
A lot of movies make the occult look really bad.
Yes, that's true. So, brilliant note there. I like that.
Well, my love, I think we have thoroughly dived into 13 Ghosts. You've shared your thoughts on it. I've shared mine. This is a great movie. Our review on this is incredibly positive.
Yes.
So if you have not, by this point, gone and watched the movie, go watch it. It is so worth it. You can find it on many different streaming platforms.
I think we've been watching it on
Tubi.
Yeah, I think we've been watching it on Tubi recently.
But go watch it. It's definitely worth your time. It's, even if you have watched it and it's been a while,
go back and watch it and see what you think of it again. And then let us know. I mean, I'm curious to know, because I looked at things differently this time 25 years later, but I still enjoy the movie and have enjoyed having it playing in the background. So I would, yes, definitely recommend.
Fully agreed. Now, if you are a fan of this movie, which by this point I would think you are, that you're staying with us through this conversation this long.
And we thank you for being here.
And of course we do. I pose the question to you. What do you think that people misunderstand about this movie the most? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to stay in this weird world of cinema with us. And until next time,
stay weird.